Hey y'all, Grandma Rose here. I am literally surrounded by seeds. And this is just crazy. Now, this week has been really busy. I haven't been on YouTube very much except to watch, and that's pretty much been just at night. So, sorry about that. I'll try to do better. I try to do better, but it doesn't always happen. I'm getting ready to have a visitor in my lap. Do you see Max? This is Max. And Max has gotten very loving since her friend Sparkle went over the Rainbow Bridge earlier this year. Or late last year. It was sad. I'd had Sparkle a very long time, and she got old and had cancer. It was to the point that she was not able to get around and get along, and it's more humane to let her go easy than to die of cancer. So we took care of that, and Max has been sad and wanting to be in my lap a whole lot because she and Sparkle grew up together. Isn't that right, Max? You hear her? Yeah? You talking to me, Max? I know you're a good girl. Okay, gonna rub my glasses. Okay. Well, what I want to talk to you about is my seeds and what I'm doing with my seeds. This is just nuts. So this week has been really kitty tail. This week has been busy. It's been gorgeous outside. We had one rainy day, but the rest of the week has been pretty, and I've been working outside. And when I have not been working outside, I have been literally poring over the seed catalogs that have been coming in and making my list. Making a wish list, not a definite list. No way under the sun could now I've got the dog. No way under the sun could I possibly order all of the seeds that I have on my wish list. But that's what a wish list is. It's things that you wish you could grow, but not necessarily you're going to do it. So, show you around what I've got around me. On my left side, a computer. The keyboard is covered with seeds. To the right, I've got packages that I've mainly already sorted through. And behind me, I've got a box of things that a basket rather, that I haven't gone through yet, that are going to be sorted. And then after I decide or determine exactly what I already have, then I can go through my list and see, well, what can I actually order this year that's reasonable? Oh, I always get something new, something fun to try. So I'll do that too, and I haven't decided exactly what it's going to be. I saw a cute little round cucumber that might be fun, and I'm going to definitely grow some yard-long beans. After seeing Jess of Roots and Refuge hoop made out of her arbor made out of the cattle panels with the yard-long beans growing on it, I'm going to have one of those too. So I'm ordering some yard-long beans, and I haven't decided what else. I have a couple of spicy mustards, and I'd like to order a couple more because those really only grow in the cool weather. They probably could wait until next fall instead of now. But I had all good intentions of growing a fall garden this year, and it didn't happen. My dog kind of got in the way of it, and I just pooped out and didn't do it. So I've got all of these seeds already put aside for my fall garden. All I had to do is pick up the container and get out there and do it, and I never did do it. So maybe next year. But it's probably, if I'm going to get any mustard in the ground and get it big enough to grow and harvest it, then I need to go ahead and do it now. Because it needs to be, it's going to take, 6 weeks or so probably before it's big enough. And in 6 weeks, it's going to be spring here. We're going to have spring weather, by the middle of, 1st of March, certainly. We always have, the daffodils usually bloom here starting in February. And then by March, the daffodils are in full bloom. Or sometimes they've already finished by March. So, imagine that, y'all, who live in the cold, frozen north. where your daffodils don't even start picking out of the ground until mid-March. Right now, I've got leaves, daffodil leaves already up about that high. Some of them a little bit higher. So I guess some of you might say it's already spring. No, it's winter here. This is our winter. Our winter is like a lot of people's fall. Fall and early spring is what our winter is like. Sometimes we'll get temperatures down in the teens or maybe even the single digits. But if that happens, it's usually only for a week or so. Hardly ever more than that. If it snows, the snow's gone in 2 or 3 days. It's a kind of a nice place to live, except if you can live with the humidity in the summertime. That's a killer. You guys up north have stay inside during the winter because it's so cold and icy. You stay in. Well, that's the way we are in the summertime because our summers are just as bad. But let me show you what I've got and what I found. One thing, this pack right here, I've got in my hand. These are my radishes. What do I have? Okay, I have 2 different varieties of watermelon radish. The one here, this one, is from In My Gardener, and the name of it is watermelon radish. This one, on the other hand, is from Baker Creek, and the name for that one is Chinese red meat radish. I think they're the same thing. I ordered them in different times, different years. So, one of these days I'm going to get these radishes. Well, not one of these days. Within the next week or so, I'll get these radishes in the ground. That's 2. What else do I have? 3 packages. One from Baker Creek, one from In My Gardener, and another one from American Seed that was 4 for $1 at the grocery or my dollar store. French breakfast. These are mild and delicious. I love them. I've somehow ended up with 3 packs of French breakfast radish. Hope they keep good. After that, I've got 3 packs of the little red, the red round radish. This one is a mix of different varieties. It's got some icicle in the red round and maybe some French breakfast and some other things mixed in it. That's pretty good. It's called Radish Gourmet Blend. And it's also American Seed, and it costs 4 for $1. Now, the most fun one. Let me show you this one. I would say my most unusual. I don't have a daikon, and I don't know how I avoid getting a daikon radish. I should have done that. But this one from Sustainable Seed Company, and after poring over my seed catalogs this year, in the past week, this is not the only source for this, but this is the Cincinnati Long Scarlet. Is that the name of it on there? Long Scarlet Cincinnati Radish. Okay. There's a story to this one. Put this aside for a second. Now, this past fall, Dr. Gary Bachman, who works with the Extension Service of Mississippi State, he's a horticulturist on faculty at Mississippi State, and he is the voice behind Southern Gardener radio and the face behind Southern Gardener on television. Lives in Long Beach, Mississippi, which is on the coast. Long Beach is just west of Gulfport on the coast. We say here in Mississippi, we talk about the Gulf Coast, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, as just air quotes, the coast. And so he lives on the coast in the town called Long Beach. Long Beach is a relatively small town. 15,000 perhaps. I'm not sure exactly. It's not a tiny town like what I live in. I live in a tiny town. I live in tiny town. But Long Beach is named itself back in the early 1900s the radish capital of the world. I think it's of the world. Yeah, the radish capital. I'm looking on my computer screen because I've got a Wikipedia what Long Beach is known for. Long Beach was called the radish capital of the world, and that's because after the trees were felled down on the coast, so the lumber industry turned over to row crop industry. And radishes grew very, very well there, and they started growing radishes for market. And the radishes were shipped up north, and then they became a staple in the beer parlors, in the bars up north. In 1921, there was a bumper crop of radish, and over 300 railway boxcars shipped out of Long Beach for the north, for the bars, for the bar radishes. So these were known as the LBRs, I believe, Long Beach radish. Well, they disappeared. And what happened to them? So that was a mystery. What happened to them? The Long Beach radish was so long it looked like a red carrot. And it was very, very mild and tasty, and the people up north in the bars ate them as snacks. I guess like we would eat peanuts or sunflower seeds or other things, they snacked on radishes. Well, what happened was transportation costs came down. And when the transportation costs came down, it became more profitable for industry or to ship the radishes from someplace else. Think that, traveling all the way from Mississippi was cheaper to get them from someplace else. And then what happened was the development of these. Maybe not this brand exactly, but the development of these little round radishes meant that they could grow radishes faster. The long radishes took longer to grow. So these really pushed the Long Beach radish out of business. So it's been a mystery what happened to them. Did they just totally disappear? Who knows? Well, Dr. Bachman, I mentioned Dr. Gary Bachman. Dr. Bachman gave a talk at our Master Gardener group back in the fall, and he told the story about the radishes. And he lives now in Long Beach, like I mentioned earlier, so he lives in Long Beach and heard this story about the radishes and was determined to discover what happened. Where did these radishes go? He knew how to search for things, and he did everything he could and was not able to turn up anything for the Long Beach radish. The Long Beach radish disappeared. And then, what happened? He said that one Saturday morning he was listening to a friend, Ron Wilson, on the radio. He has a radio show talking about gardening. So on his show, he was talking about heirloom vegetables, and the talk turned to radishes. And he mentioned that one of his favorites was called the Cincinnati market radish, or the CMR radish, or I guess the CM radish, because the R would stand for radish. So, Ron Wilson's favorite radish was the Cincinnati market radish. He described it as a 6 to 7 inch long radish, red radish, that had a thin skin and a very mild flavor. Well, what does that sound like? That sounds like the Long Beach radish. So, it turns out that the radish changed its name. The radish still exists, and it's marketed, but it's no longer called the Long Beach radish. So, Dr. Bachman dug a little deeper, and he found out that the CMR radish was originally grown near Cincinnati. However, it was shipped to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi to grow over the winter. Okay, so the Cincinnati market radish was originally grown near Cincinnati in the mid-1800s, and then it was shipped down to Mississippi, to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, to be grown, and then shipped back to the north as a bar snack. So there you go. The Cincinnati market radish is the same thing as the Long Beach radish. And that's what I have here. That's what I have here. It's not called the Cincinnati market radish. You see the name. It's called the Scarlet Cincinnati Radish, but it's the same thing. Let me read the description on here. Long, tapered, deep red roots are 6 to 7 inches long. Long scarlet has a crisp, tender white flesh, medium tops for bunching. Very heavy yielding variety, excellent for home garden to market. So I'm going to grow the Long Beach radish in my garden this year. Y'all go try this too. There are several different sources of it, and the one that I have is from this company, Sustainable Seed Company. But you can look for it, and other places have it too. Bye, y'all. See you next time. Happy gardening.